Before I get to the real issue, let me tell you all that this is one of the most emotionally draining news story I have ever written during my 12 years in journalism. I lost my 2-month-old baby nephew and his mother in one of the most horrific accidents to occur in Berbice. 3 years ago, I visited most of the victims' relatives, but it became unbearable to tell the story, which was forcing me to relive the horrible memories that followed. I did my best to forget that heart-wrenching day and what it did to my family, especially my brother, but the cry for justice is getting louder. It was a rainy Friday afternoon when the minibus was approaching this area with 17 persons on board when suddenly the truck overtook another vehicle on this lane and came straight into the path of the minibus. What many would witness next was a scene from a grisly horror movie. There were mangled and decapitated bodies, limbs severed, and blood everywhere. As the weather was gloomy, so was that day for the families who lost those dearest to them. Unfortunately, the rainy clouds remain and the sun still won't come out. The first family you will meet has suffered greatly after losing a husband and father. Life has been a constant struggle for 45-year-old baby Sukram and her 5 children. Her husband was fisherman Chetram Ramphal. Walk me through, what was life like for you and your children after he died?
When I live, we never make ever get them out, never starve. Not like I really now ever starve. Because you bring them here, find them and bring them. They never walk one way. I think my husband dead and get up and walk. They're all body a do around. House walk with people. Sometimes he's got to wash all bags.
On the day of the accident, Chetram was on his way to visit his sick son at the children's ward of the New Amsterdam Hospital, but instead ended up in the mortuary. His son was 6 years old at the time. He waited, but his father never came.
It's the same day I die. None of them don't know. I come dreamy, and then they die.
The lad, who is now 13, recalled the incident, which is still fresh in his mind. He too is named after his father, Chetram, and spoke with passion and admiration for the man he loves and respects even in death.
But we love me father, and me father loves all of us.
Chetram Jr. is smart and one of the most hard-working teens I have met at his age, but he wants more in life than to be a fisherman. Eager to attain an education to better himself and lift his family out of poverty, he cried uncontrollably as he related how his heart breaks, seeing his peers afforded the chance at an education, an opportunity he can now only dream of, one he would give anything to have.
And what do you want to be?
I want to be a good, like a doctor or something else, not a nurse or anything else. Like work a minister or anything.
Yeah, good education.
When we were in grade 5, we were bright since my daddy left us, and since we didn't have the money to go back to school, I don't do nothing.
So now you're fishing.
I'm fishing now, right now I have nothing in my brain.
One day up and I get the money for some one morning till I get to wait till I go fishing come back then for my school is very hard.
In machine I not to cook.
And what do you all have to eat today?
A little down and rice, mom, you cook it, I get to eat. It's alright.
I saw what losing a child can do to a person firsthand. After losing his son and girlfriend, my brother, Joel Khan, has never been the same. This was the biggest blow he suffered in life and was on a downward spiral for years, feeling lost and hopeless.
It affected my life a lot. Because since then to now, it's like, although I get cheering and everything, like, I still not really catch myself. Especially from that when I get cheering still, if you know that you lost your loved one and nobody looking into the matter, nobody, nothing. So it's hard on me saying we all get kids right now and everything are still studying. My son that died because my big son could actually the 80.
Fortunately, he is slowly picking up the pieces of his life and is working to get back fully on track. He's now a father of 3 beautiful children. My nephew's mother was holding him in her arms as they traveled that day, filled with many dreams and aspirations which will never be realized. She was a woman who truly loved her children and did everything possible to make them happy. Talita Mendonca's mother was unable to say much as she spoke about her loving daughter.
Well, my daughter gives me hearts for her, trying to, let them know that she's no longer with them. She had passed. I can tell you, it was hard for her. It was very hard. Until now.
She was 21 years old and resided at Kildonan Village with her 2 children who still asked, "When is mommy coming home?" The grief of the parents of Sydney Jaggernaut was so unbearable that they gave up and could no longer cope with the reality that she was gone forever.
My husband take stress, trouble the nerve and turn mad, me can't mental and talk until I close die for that. And when me carry me husband in mental, then now me last me remember, me last me sense, them carry got to lead a bit too now. And treat a bit too and care a bit the house.
This is Cindy's daughter, Shalini, a high school teen who was forced to grow up and be a mother to her younger brother. She recently got married but was saddened by the absence of her mother at such an important time in her life.
Because without a mother, life is not the same again. Because this is the time we need her the most. She's not around.
Royce, an adult, another father who is still suffering after losing his son who was 13 years old. At the time, Royston was a taxi driver on his way to New Amsterdam, so he was close to the scene when he received the news. When he arrived, he was confronted with the gruesome sight of his son's lifeless body hanging out of the minibus. Even though he was devastated and knew his son was dead, he ran with his son's body to the hospital. 2 years prior, he'd lost his wife, so his 3 children were already motherless, and his eldest daughter automatically took on the motherly role for her younger brothers. Unable to cope with another loss, and in such a tragic manner, Royston was forced to uproot his children from Rose Hall Tongue in search of peace.
I don't know if it's a strategy to them to feel that in time people hurt will disappear and they'll just drop everything and forget about it. People still hurt them. Nobody never follow up to counsel the people. Nobody is taking care of the woman who lose her husband with so many children. I mean, yes, I am trying to make it on my own, but I'm talking about people who can't make it. People who lose loved ones. People who are depending solely on them to take care of them. And nobody's doing that. The government and all the promises that they made that they're going to send counselors to talk to these people, counsel them. Nobody's doing that. So for me, people need to step up to the plate and do what they got to do.
Marcus Adult would have been 22 years old this year. His father said he was an average student, so he decided to enroll him in extra lessons to boost his grades. The former Lower Carinthian secondary student was heading to his extra lessons when he died. These are the stories of some of the affected family members who are brave enough to share it with us. In our next edition, you will hear more heartbreaking stories as families recall painful memories of losing their loved ones.